Hi everyone, my name is Andy Thomas and I run a small accountancy practice called Abacus Jack. We're based just outside of Newcastle in the Washington area, and as a practice we're the only silver level partner of FreeAgent in the Northeast. So we work very closely with FreeAgent in terms of working with the software and with our client base. I'm just going to spend a bit of time going through FreeAgent with you. We're going to do a bit of an overview, a bit of a demo, and talk about some of the key features and how they can help you as small business owners. Essentially, business finances can be a bit of a burden. It can be a bit of a pain for small business owners because at the end of the day, you're busy out and about doing what you do best, which is running your business, doing your thing. So really, the less hassle and stress that you can do in terms of the finances is a good thing, and that's where FreeAgent really fits in. And in addition, by combining the software with a FreeAgent accountant, essentially you're seeing the same as what they're seeing, so you're both talking the same language, you're looking at the same data, and you're able to work collaboratively. What we tend to do here is we work with businesses throughout the year rather than just at year end. So we kind of build up a bit of a picture about what's going on in your mind, what your aspirations are, where you want to go with the business. And then we can help you with those aspirations, and we can support you over the course of the year. FreeAgent's really key to that recipe because by having that kind of regular real-time insight into your business finances, we can make sure we give you the right advice. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and we're going to look at like a demo company. So this isn't real data. This is kind of pretend data that's in the system, and we're just going to talk through some of the main features and how they help out. It's going to take probably about 20 minutes, and then obviously if people have got questions or suggestions or anything that they want to feed back on, then by all means get in contact with me, either through the forum or through the Abacus Jack website. Okay, so bear with me whilst I just switch screens. Okay, so that should be coming up now. Brilliant. So what you can see here is a kind of dashboard that you will get when you first log into the FreeAgent system. And it's really just a kind of selection of little widgets that show snapshots of information about the business finances. I'm not going to go into kind of too much detail about all the different setup that you can do with the widgets, but you've got information on the bank account, you've got information on kind of income, expenditure at a summary level. What we're going to do instead is we're going to work through the kind of main menu items, and without going into too much detail, because at the end of the day, I don't want you to fall asleep. I want you to be engaged. So without going into too much detail, we'll go through the main sort of benefits. Starting off with contacts, pretty much does what it says here. This is a central record of all your main suppliers and customers. So FreeAgent can act as a CRM in this respect, because for each of your contacts, whether it's, as I say, whether it's a supplier or customer, you've effectively got a central log of all the key information. So if we just pick one here, Life Plan Counselling, so I've got their contact details, their billing email, their phone numbers, but I've also got a snapshot here of financial information. So this particular contact is a customer of Demo Limited. So Demo Limited has invoiced them. Actually, they're still waiting on the payment, so it tells you how much they owe you. And you've got like a graph here that kind of shows cash flow, money paid and received. And along the top, we've got the ability to drill down into different elements of our relationship with this contact. So as I say, if they're a supplier, we can see all their bills they've sent. If they're a customer, we can see all the invoices we've sent, and we get to know what's happening with them. I'll just go back out of that now. FreeAgent's quite configurable in terms of user interface. So depending on how you like to see things, we've got like a grid here, alphabetical grid of different contacts. I'm not going to go into any more detail on that. I think most people probably understand that concept. The next menu item is called work. Now, work is the area where you manage all of the money coming into the business. So this is your sales, if you like. So it's invoicing, quotes, estimates. It's controlling projects that you're working on, budgets, and time tracking. Now, I know every business is different. Not every business is going to use all of those elements, but where this is kind of designed to help is particularly businesses which are in the sort of creative, tech, professional services type area. Typically businesses that work with projects. So they have the concept of one or more projects going on with a client, and have the concept of those projects being charged at either a fixed fee or a day rate or maybe an hourly rate. So what FreeAgent does is it allows you to track all the work that's going on, all the different tasks that you're doing for different clients. And whether you physically track that time or whether you have like a fixed fee for that time, this is where you record that, and you can then obviously bill that in terms of invoicing. So if we quickly click on projects here, you see for this company, we've got a handful of projects going on. As I said before, with the menus here, you drill down into the detail. So you can see along the top, we've got the ability to, for this particular project called branding work, we've got the ability to see estimates that were sent, invoices that were sent, the time that's been recorded. So I'm just going to show you the time quickly. So we've got all the guys working on the project. We've got the tasks that they're working on and the time that they're putting into the project. And FreeAgent will obviously will know what rates that you're working to, because you'll have entered that when you set the project up. So that timesheet, not only can you use that to get a sign off from the client, but you can also then very quickly just convert that to an invoice. So all those hours that people have put in, you then just click a button to get that onto an invoice, and you know that you're accurately billing that client. So that's really handy. Okay, let's go back to projects. So you can see here from this menu, some of these projects have got an amount that's been invoiced. Some of them are due to be invoiced. So you've basically just got a dashboard that's showing you the status of each one in terms of the finances. That's just quite useful. Next area to look at here is invoicing, kind of important for most businesses. So when we clicked on invoicing there, we've got a list of all the recent invoices, and we can sort that by due date. We can sort by those invoices that are open or overdue or whatever it might be. FreeAgent uses like a red, amber, green status to show you what's been paid, what's coming up to be paid, and what's overdue. And it'll also work with you to kind of send automated reminders, that kind of thing, to make sure that you track where you're at with your customers and who's paid and who hasn't. Creating an invoice is very simple. I'm not going to go through the whole process, but if I just click on one of these invoices here, let's click on the top one. So here we kind of see the familiar invoice type design, and we know that this is a compliant design, which is nice, because invoices must follow a compliant standard. And by using something like FreeAgent, you can be rest assured that that standard is taken care of. So it's got all the right information on. It's got the numbers, the dates, the payment information, everything that you need to have on an invoice. It's got the description on, which is obviously entered as part of the invoicing process. And more importantly as well, this is a VAT registered business, so all the VAT implications are managed automatically. If you're a business that trades overseas with EU or non-EU businesses, then you'll probably be aware of the complexities that can creep in with regards to VAT. And using software like this does help with that to a degree. Doesn't answer all the questions, because VAT can be quite complicated, but it does, providing the settings are put in correctly, it can take the headache away from VAT. Another really useful feature down the bottom here is invoice email history. So this is a kind of status of emails that you've sent the client or the customer with your invoices. So if you use the facility to email these directly from the software will track the status. So it'll tell you whether they've been sent, delivered, failed, that kind of thing, which can be quite handy if a client says, oh, well, I never received that invoice. You can look back in your invoice history and kind of say, well, actually, I've got a record here that says it was successfully delivered to your mailbox. Yeah, so it can be quite handy as a kind of tracking tool. Some buttons up the top here, kind of self-explanatory really, but obviously you can save the invoice as a PDF, which is really useful. You can send the invoice directly by email or resend by email in this case. Likewise, you can always kind of edit the invoice if you need to make changes or put any other information on. One point to highlight here is, so historically, clients will probably pay you by backs. They'll put the money straight into your bank account. But more and more so these days, a lot of businesses are wanting to pay by card or by PayPal, that kind of thing. FreeAgent supports all those integrations out the box. So if you want clients to pay you by card, you can just put like a link in the invoice email that the client clicks on. They just put their card details in, the payment goes through, and then you obviously get the money paid by the card provider. So that's really neat. Similar with PayPal, you can put a PayPal link into an email, and then the client can use their PayPal account to pay your invoice. So that's all integrations that come out the box. They're not add-ons. They're not additional costs to the software. So it's very configurable in that sense. The next area to move on to is bills. So whilst we've talked about how to get money into the business in terms of your sales invoices, we're now going to look at how money that you've got to pay your suppliers in terms of purchase invoices. So that's what FreeAgent calls bills. That's what they are. And in much the same way as we've just seen with the invoicing, you've basically got like a red, amber, green status going on of any bills that have come into the business. When you get an invoice from a supplier, let's say, for example, you bought some stationery, that gets delivered, the supplier sends an invoice. This is where you'd record that invoice. So you'd record all the details from it, so who the supplier is, what the invoice number is, what the amount is, and when it's due. FreeAgent kind of then takes care of the rest in terms of monitoring who needs to be paid and when, telling you if anything's overdue, but also then building these figures into your accounts. So in terms of your creditor list, it keeps that up to date. If you find you get a lot of these invoices, if you're making a lot of purchases, there are some good automation tools out there that can take the burden away from kind of manual entry and sort of using a type of sort of scan to email type facility. You can automate a lot of this, which I'm very happy to help people with if they need a bit of information on that. But certainly don't feel like you've got to sit for hours keying data in manually, because I can assure you that there will be a solution to make that easier for you. There's lots of different providers out there that can do that. FreeAgent will integrate with a lot of external systems. So that's how to record purchase invoices. The next area that people will want to know about is how to manage their own kind of finances. So whether you're a director or whether you're an employee, you're going to want to know how to manage things like your personal expenses, your dividends, and your pay, your salary. So the My Money tab is all about that. So first of all, let's look at expenses. This is very self-explanatory. As somebody working in a business, there's going to be times where you've bought things or paid for things out of your own pocket, and the business has to reimburse you that money. So this is just simply a way to record those purchases and make sure that your finance team or your accountant can tell you how much you're due back. I'm sure many of us remember working for businesses where we put our expenses on spreadsheets, and spreadsheets get sent around different departments, and a month or two later you might see your money coming back. But this is much more efficient. Dividends is a way of recording dividend payments that have been made to shareholders. Again, there's compliant rules here in terms of how those are processed and how they're reported. So I don't think this particular demo client's got any dividends in, but essentially FreeAgent will manage that process, create the dividend vouchers, and make sure those dividends are built into your accounts. Salary and payroll. If you're using FreeAgent to run your staff payroll, it's very simple. You enter all your staff, you enter what they're paid, and then every month, either your accountant or you directly can run payroll, basically make sure that the necessary reports are created for HMRC and submitted on the right timescales. And then in terms of your employees, you can send them pay slips, make sure that they know what they're getting. So if we look here on the screen for this particular example, this company's got 4 employees. You can click on this level and drill down, but essentially we know what their pay is. If we look at the last payroll that was run, this was month 12, for example, click on that, and it just shows for that particular month, this is what everyone got paid, their tax, and importantly at the end, their pay slips. So your accountant or whoever's running your payroll can send staff their pay slips very easily from FreeAgent, and the staff have a record of exactly what they've been paid, which again is one of your obligations as an employer. So it's a very, very simple tool to use to run payroll. And as a practice, we use it for many of our payroll clients, even businesses with kind of 40, 50 people, quite easily run that on FreeAgent without any problems. The next area to talk about, I appreciate we're going at quite some speed, but hopefully it gives you an overview. The next bit to look into is the bank. So this, for me, is the kind of heartbeat of FreeAgent, is its ability to control and to optimize the way you look at your banking transactions. You can pretty much add any bank account into FreeAgent to track the balances and the transactions. It doesn't have to be like a traditional current or savings account. You can add in PayPal, foreign currency accounts, loan accounts, credit card accounts. Everything can be added and tracked. And in the majority of cases, the software will connect directly into the bank, and every day it will go in and it will extract all the transactions. So if we look in, let's look in one of these for some transactions. I might have to go back in time a little bit for this data to load. Yeah, so we go back to 2019 here and look at some transactions. It looks very much like online banking, really. So we're all used to using online banking to manage our finances. Well, FreeAgent's no different. So every day it's gone in and it's refreshed the transactions. Now, whoever's doing your bookkeeping, whether it's yourself or your accountant, can then go through these and very quickly categorize what the money in and money out actually is. So you can see from these descriptions here what this business is spending its money on. And likewise, which invoices are getting paid as the month progresses. And the reason this is so important is because ultimately this is now building a picture of your accounting records for the year. So this is building up your profit and loss, which is your income and expenditure record. So you can see what you're spending in certain areas, computer software, accommodation, travel, whatever it might be, by categorizing these bank transactions as they come through. And trying to keep on top of that, then you get a very accurate picture of where the money's going and indeed where the money's coming from. And as I said before, you can have as many bank accounts as you need. When a lot of us now deal with multi-currency accounts, we've got suppliers that not necessarily based in the UK, so we have to have that facility. FreeAgent's very configurable in that sense. So the next 2 areas to talk about are possibly ones that are more for your accountant, and indeed you can configure the software to kind of switch these off if you find they're a bit confusing, or you find that you've got users that don't necessarily need to see them. But taxes are obviously a fairly important part of running a business in terms of your compliance and obligations. FreeAgent will track whatever taxes are relevant to your business. So in this particular demo, it's a VAT registered limited company, so we've pretty much got the whole suite here. We've got self-assessment for the director, we've got corporation tax, payroll taxes, and VAT. I'm not going to drill into each one. I think that's too much detail for this session. But what the message is here is that FreeAgent gives you that kind of ongoing timeline of what your tax obligation looks like. And if you work with a FreeAgent accountant, then your accountant's going to help you stay on top of your tax obligations. So rather than kind of, as I say, it gets to the end of the year and you get presented with a big tax bill, your accountant can work with you throughout the year to make sure you know what taxes are coming up, when they're due, how much they are, and you can start to plan that a little bit and hopefully put some money aside in a different account to kind of to ensure those liabilities are covered. So that's quite an important element, and certainly with the clients we work with, we like to make sure that they know what their taxes are going to be at any moment in time. Finally, there's a kind of an accounting section, which is where I suppose it gets a little bit more technical. There's quite a powerful reporting capability within the software, depending on what information you want to see. So you've got profit and loss reports, which is your day-to-day income and expenditure. But you can also drill down to see who owes you money or who you owe money to. You can also see what your big expenses are, who your best customers are in terms of who pays, who's got the highest volume of sales. Lots of different ways of looking at the data. And again, if you work with a free agent accountant, you can work with them on how you want to see that information. We tend to place quite a big emphasis on reporting, because what we've seen, particularly during COVID, is a lot of businesses really needing to know what's happening with their cash flow, what's happening with their revenue. So what's going to come in, what's going out over the next few months, because they need to know this to make decisions. And you need the data to be there to make those informed decisions. So it's no good just sort of guessing or having a stab at what the finances might be. If you actually look at the data and then work with your accountant to display that in a way that you want to see it, whether it's graphically or whether it's kind of in tables, then your accountant can help you prepare for those big business decisions that need to be made. As we come out of COVID, hopefully there's opportunities to kind of scale up certain services or scale up certain products, and you're going to want to know what effect that's going to have on your cash flow and on your revenue line. So this is really where you start to see the benefit of using that data and using that analysis. Certainly, if anyone wants any more information on reporting, then please, by all means, get in touch. I can kind of show you some different ways of doing reporting that work for you, ranging from kind of very simple reports, potentially kind of Excel-based reports, to much more in-depth analysis that you could share with investors or the bank or that kind of thing. But it's all possible. So that pretty much brings us to an end. Very much appreciate you listening and watching. I hope everyone's enjoying the week. Just a final point from me really is just to say a massive thank you to Paul and the organisers. It's a pretty mean feat getting all of this information and content available virtually and getting everyone informed of what's going on. So where we can't meet physically, we've obviously put everything online, and I think they've done a fantastic job. So hats off to everyone who's worked behind the scenes for this week. And it's not over yet, so enjoy the rest of the week. Any questions to me or about accounting in general, I'm very happy to answer them. Either please contact me through the Abacus Jack website or through the forum here, and I will do my best to get back to you. But take care, everybody, and enjoy the week.